Hello and welcome to Audiology Talk. My name is Tony Lombardo, and today I'll be taking you through setting up an auto sequence for the TympStar Pro. So the first thing I'm going to do is hook up my PC to the TympStar Pro, which I've done, and then I'm going to open up the TympStar Pro Config app. Of course, the very first thing I always want to do with a config app is upload and read the settings from the device. So I'm just going to go over here and press upload, and that is going to read the configuration from the device, load it into the config app for me to make some changes. All right, so I've got my auto sequences here that have been built by GSI. So these are the ones that are already in the system. We have two of them that are available to you. So there's the factory or the system one, and then we have basically the copy of that also includes decay. And I will run through how you set up a new one and how you can modify one of these from one of these defaults. So we have a couple of different options. So you can see I can select the different protocols here, and the option for me to copy is available. So I can start by making a copy of this because there may just be a couple of things that I want to change. So I'm just going to put down my name, and then I'm going to put in my abbreviation. And I'm also going to set this as default because this is the protocol that I want to have pop up when I'm doing my auto sequences. All right, so from there, now I've got it named and abbreviated. It's set as my default, and I'm going to go ahead and edit it. When I edit an existing protocol or an existing sequence, what you can see is the order of the different tests are going to be laid out for you. So with the factory system sequence, we have, first of all, a diagnostic tympanogram that's going to happen. And then what it's going to do is it's going to move through 4 IPSI and 4 contralateral reflexes. And for the most part, I don't want to change any of that stuff. What I want to do is change some of those details. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just click on one of these that's highlighted and hit Edit Details. And what this is going to do is it's going to allow me to script out exactly how it's collecting each of these different reflexes. So here in the stimulus section, I can change some of the parameters for the stimulus type. I would recommend keeping it at pulse. There's not a whole lot I would change on this page unless you're doing some real interesting research type stuff. But if you move over to threshold, there's a couple of options, and these are the things that people are generally changing. To begin with, we have threshold seek, which is going to be on for this. It's going to find the threshold on its own. But we have a newer-ish feature called auto seek below start intensity. And I like to turn this on because my reflexes tend to fire at 70-75 dB. So a lot of times when I'm doing a protocol myself, I see immediately I'm getting a response. And what this will do is it will see that response to begin with, and it will move backwards so that it'll lower the intensity until it goes away, and then it'll bring it back up and then follow my verification rule to pick the threshold. So this is nice because it preserves that morphology that we want to see, that growth function as it's moving over time. That leads into verification. We want to determine, all right, our minimum change is 0.02. What do we want to do? What do we want the device to do to verify this? Do we just say, hey, once you hit that, we're good, we just hit none? Or do we want it to repeat so we can see that it's replicable? A lot of people also like to do step above. So if it catches the threshold at, say, 80, it will step above at 85 to give you that validation before moving on to the next one in the sequence. So these decisions you'll make up here. The other thing that tends to get changed is the start level and the stop level. So 75, well, that might be even aggressive for me. Most people were going to want to bump that up to 80 or 85 to start with. And then you have your stopping level. And you see that there's a minimum of 35 and a maximum of 110. And if I crank this all the way up to 110, what that means is that where it's available, it's going to go all the way up to 110. And what I mean by that is that each one of the frequencies or stimuluses that we use for eliciting a reflex will have its own maximum. So if you want to find out, what the maximum amount is without going onto the device and testing it yourself, you can go to the user manual, and there is a table in the back which shows what the maximum amount is for each frequency or stimulus for both ipsilateral and contralateral. If you just move it all the way to 110, it's going to just go to maximum and stop at that. So now I've got this change here, and this little button down at the bottom here is going to be my best friend for this, because instead of going in and making the same exact changes for each one of the different steps in the reflex process, I'm just going to hit apply to all frequencies here, and I'm going to go back to my protocol. And now I've made that same change for all of these different reflexes. So they're going to have the same starting and stopping criteria. And then, of course, all of the different frequencies or like my verification, that kind of stuff is going to get preserved through the entire protocol. So that is one way of doing it, is just making a copy. The other thing that we can do is we can go back here and I can click on auto sequences again, and I can start fresh. So I can say, this is a new one. And maybe I'm making this for my counterpart in practice. So Laura, got her protocol, and I'm going to make that default now, and I'm going to go ahead and edit that. So this is going to show you the other way that you can build these protocols. So number one, it's always going to start with a diagnostic TYMP, and then we have the option of adding in as many different reflexes as we want, up to, I believe, 8. So we have the ability to just go through here and start using these drop downs to build the protocol. So if I'm starting at 250, go to 500, and then maybe I want to change this next one to a contralateral, I can go and select, let's go to 250 again. Now I've got this as contra. And if I go to 500 again, now I've got this as contra. So just as an example here, I can build through each step in the sequence. If I want to, at the end here, I can also add decay. And then, of course, just like I did in the previous one, I can go ahead and edit the details here to make some of those similar changes to the threshold criteria, the start, the stop level, all the things that I have for my preferences for this protocol. So once I am done and I have set up all of my auto sequences, and you can set up as many as you would like, the very last step, of course, is to hit the download button to write that down to the instrument. And then, of course, new settings will be saved to the device. All you need to do is hit Data Erase Clear Session on your TympStar Pro, and you're set to go. And one last note, the way that you access these is from the TYMP screen, the diagnostic TYMP screen, when you have the device on. So we turn the device on, and the auto sequence start button is going to be in the lower left-hand side of the screen. And what you'll do is you'll set your patient up with the probe. If you're doing contra, you set the contra probe up. And then all you'll do is, instead of pressing the start button over here or using these controls down here in the work area, you're going to press that on the screen to begin the sequence, and the device will take over from there. And then when it's completed, you can move it and switch it up to the opposite ear, capture the same thing, and you're set to go. Thank you for tuning in to today's Audiology Talk. I hope it was helpful for you, and stay tuned for more videos and check us out on social media.